You should've never doubted me. I'ma work to my last breath. I'ma hustle to my last breath. Yeah. You should've never doubted me. The pain and the struggle followed me.
There we go. Welcome back to the Work Never Stops podcast. I'm Deji Wessey. I have my best friend, my brother, Stevon Lewis, on the podcast today. This is a special one. I just had my birthday, just had my 41st birthday, and Stevon hit me up and was like, "Hey, you want to sit down and have a talk?" He's like, "I got some questions," and
that's the stuff you never want to hear from a therapist, right? Like
exactly. But a therapist, you get to ask him questions. And, this is my best friend of since we're 12 years old. And so I know when Stevon gets asking questions, I've
got ammo behind my shit. Like,
yeah, he's not just throwing stuff. He's not throwing stuff. He's at the wall.
I will let people know about some of the stuff I know. That's we gonna jump right into that shit.
Oh man, this is interesting, and being as game as I am, of course, I said, let's do it, man. Let's do it. Let's see where you're going with this.
Yeah. That's what I love is that I said it and you never ran from it. Not only did you not run from it, you were like, I've been wanting to ask you to do this for a long time. So that I just never did. And it's like, oh, well, it's funny you got there because this is also what I'm thinking at the time too.
Boom. Perfect. Yeah. And it's funny because it's happened a few times, throughout our lifetime, and I'm sure it will continue to happen. So,
for sure.
It's pretty cool when it does though. When it happens, it's like, oh shit, what's about to happen here?
Hell yeah. It's your show, but you've given me the range, you know what I mean? So you don't run. Do not
don't run. I mean, I'm in the
juggernaut.
I'm in the telephone booth,
there you go.
Like Floyd. Like I'm right here. I'm right here.
Yeah.
Try to hit me.
Hell yeah. And I took it real serious of I was thinking about all this stuff and I was like, man, so here's I guess I'll start. So here's the reason I reached out to you and wanted to do this. I was thinking and I was like, Deji does a really good job of highlighting the people in his life and kind of showing them to the world. And I was like, we don't often get the opportunity to do that for you, right? Because you're usually out front, considering that you got to the idea of doing this a year before I even brought it up to you, shows that you're usually ahead of people. That's just been the story of your life. And so, there's not much opportunity to get out in front of Deji to be ahead to get you to do this. So that was my thought process was hey, you know what? It's a birthday. He's turning 41. A lot of stuff's happened in your life in 41 years. Let's see, because people may not know the journey, but also how the journey has shaped you. And so what I want to do is give people an opportunity to say hey, you see Deji where he is. How did that happen? And kind of even more introspective is to kind of say what have you learned about yourself?
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So you mentioned you just had a birthday. Happy belated. I told you on the day, but for all the fans out here, the audience, happy birthday, 41. Yes, sir. We've known each other since we were 12. And if people don't follow you on Instagram or you've had another milestone of something very major and important that just happened in your life. So congratulations are in order for that.
That just happened.
What just happened?
I just got married. I just got the championship ring. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, there it is.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Man. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy doing the birthday and and the wedding and actually, funny enough, Valentine's Day as well. Just all all mixed up.
You betcha.
You know what I'm saying? Lined them up. Chief.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, but it feels amazing, man. It feels amazing. It's obviously it's a big accomplishment. And I didn't necessarily think of it like that going into it, but when it went down, it was like, yo, I'm getting married. and I'm marrying like the woman of my dreams. Like it was it was pretty crazy. It's almost a surreal thing. It's like, man, this is happening. It's like, well, you were there. You contributed in quite a bit of this. Like,
Woke
and
up and like he showed up there and he was like, oh shit, is this what's happening? Like you cultivated, like this was work. You guys made this
yeah,
happen. Yes,
right,
sir.
yeah, man,
Yep,
yeah.
yep,
So
yep.
really cool moment, man. But yeah,
No, it's exciting stuff. Like I was excited, we talked like right before,
yeah, yeah,
I mean, we talked about like all the way up until and like, ring and everything like that and seeing all that
yeah.
stuff. But yeah, like, on day before and like, chatting about some stuff. So part of like, again, was this, and this is a great segue into kind of like the first area. We've got three areas we're going to cover, right?
Okay,
We're going to cover
okay.
three areas. The first area is now that you're 41, right? You've had this birthday. You've also, and if people don't know this, like you've gotten married now, right? Like they know that now because you just said it, but like you've had a storied kind of history of love life per
Oh
se.
yeah.
So wondering kind of, it's appropriate to start here. Like, what have you learned over all this time kind of about love?
Man.
And that doesn't have to be kind of just in your romantic relationships, because I know you've learned a lot from there, but just even in, personal relationships. But you got to a place of where you're like, I love this woman, I want to be with her. I love this person, I want to be with them. I want them in my life. And you do that kind of in various areas. So what is it that Deji at 41 now knows that he didn't know before and has learned from all of his kind of experiences about love?
Yeah. Hmm. A few things come to mind.
Hell
But
yeah.
one lesson that I think that I had to learn that was kind of the precipice to being in this space right now.
Mhm.
I'm a hardworking person, and I'm willing to put my all in to something that I want, which is which is what I've done in all my like my serious relationships. I've always like really put the work in. But the big lesson that I learned that kind of like moved me into this space where I think looking back is where like, oh, this is when I was ready. I had to learn that your partner needs to be dialed in on that that same wavelength. They need to be putting in that same amount of work that you're putting in. They have to want it as well. um and I think also kind of like leaving them the room to do that, to fill that space, is really important. And before I kind of would I would do what thought was necessary, like,
Mhm.
oh, well, like, oh, I can, oh, how about this cliche? I can love you enough for the both of us. Like, like, I can,
God.
like, how
Oh my
great,
God. Don't do
like,
that.
like how, yeah, exactly. If this is a lesson, do not do that. Like, 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 do not do that. Yeah, I thought I could carry the boats for both of us. But in reality, what I ended up learning at whatever age, few years ago, is you don't want to carry the boats for both people, like in that way. Like like we all have needs, and we all have different needs, different love languages, but that person has to fulfill your your needs as well. Like like
Mhm.
and it's worth kind of standing up for that. It's worth thinking of yourself as being worthy of receiving that love as well. Yeah.
No, I like that. I like the last part that you said because it makes me think because I've been around for a lot. I've seen
Well.
I've been around for a lot of those relationships, like all
Yeah,
right, like
yeah, all, like literally all.
literally legit. It has been
Legit, all, every single one of them.
legit
That's crazy. That's crazy
everyone.
thing.
I've been around for all of them. And I think for me, like when I think about where you are today, and this is not something we haven't talked about before. I mean, in private, now we're doing it kind of publicly, but is that you've in your statement, I hear something that, like, I guess the way I call it the meta message, right? Like there's what you said, and then there's kind of what you meant. And, you kind of phrased it in a way of, you know, people being equal and, kind of putting in the hard work, but not trying to love somebody for love for the both of us enough or whatever, like how you said it.
Yeah.
It's what you're really saying is that you've learned to kind of say, I don't need to change who I am in order to make this relationship work. And that's what I think is the real major difference in, the relationship you have with your wife, is that from the outset, you've been accepted for you.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering kind of, I guess, how did I almost felt like part of you, and you can correct me or like elaborate for sure, but that part of you was in a place of where you didn't believe that was true in the beginning.
Oh, that I didn't believe that. That I didn't believe that.
That she legit accepted you for you.
Um, I think. Hmm. I think I was so used to not being accepted for who I am.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure.
that took me some time to understand.
Yeah,
Is that,
yeah,
oh no,
exactly.
this is real. Like, no, it's okay. Like, like no, she actually liked you. Like,
Yeah,
like
yeah. And
not
that's
like,
like a theme across you being you in just a variety of spaces. So it's not,
well, yeah.
unique to romantic relationships, just being accepted, period.
Oh yeah. Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
This is a theme across my life. Is we kind of were just talking about it. It's like people look and see me, but they
Hmm.
don't like actually see who I am. Like
Yeah.
even if my actions prove otherwise, or things that I do, it doesn't, for some reason, it doesn't register. Even if I verbally say, if I say something
Yep.
that contradicts your image of who I am, it still does not. He still doesn't compute for some reason. And
It's just bananas,
yeah,
because like I don't, I mean, and I have I will admit I am biased. I've known you for a long time, so like I don't think that you don't present to me as an enigma, right? Like you are pretty clear and straightforward about who you are, what you believe. Like you wear shit on your sleeve. For whatever reason, people don't want to look at it and believe it to be true. I don't think it's you, but it's hard to not kind of want to take some culpability, I guess, in that, because you're in the space with it so often. But it's not you. It's not you. Like you been who you were.
yeah, I'm so comfortable with that. Like I consciously know that. Like I have to repeat something 3 times before they even recognize it. I'm not even saying understand.
You're like, hey, that's on fire. That's
Yeah.
on fire. That is on fire. And they're like, oh shit, it's on fire.
Like Jesus Christ. Like yeah, it's
Oh, that's terrible. That is terrible.
yeah, man. It's
Yeah,
something else, that's for sure.
it is. It is. And I mean, I think this is like the first time, because I think, like you said with your statement of people see you, but they don't see you, is that they see it, but maybe they don't want to recognize or believe it. So that like there's this feeling of where you initially you're accepted, but then like not really.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah,
when
I think
I
so.
guess I'm wondering, like, have you learned anything about how to recognize that more, like when it's authentic now,
Oh, like
from
when
just like through love and all that stuff?
um hmm. I think, I mean, for one, it feels different.
Hmm.
It's not insecure. I did a post the other day, maybe about a week or two ago, one of my entrepreneur lessons, and it was, if you don't trust them, why work with them?
I
Or
remember
yeah,
that. That was a good one.
and I appreciate it. And man, it's like it's so true in business and love, whatever it is that doing relationship wise. Like if there's some sense of distrust, I think it's worth kind of hammering it out, seeing if your
Hmm.
suspicion is true, and then if it is true, why transact with this person or this entity? Like it's
Exactly.
not going to be fulfilling for both of you. Like this type of situation only leads to a win-lose, and guess what? Even
Here's the kicker. Here's the
you're
kicker.
not gonna win. You're not winning. You ain't gonna be the one winning. So yeah.
No, I
Um,
like it. I like it. Real talk. Like, and I guess like part of it's weird how like this is gonna unfold, right? Like that you talking about that understanding kind of in business, and how just recognizing that why work with someone that you don't kind of trust or any of that, is that like people know you now. I mean, you've got behind you the good background now with Go Hard Energy drink that you founded and created. And so like people know you as an entrepreneur businessman, right? It's interesting. I guess here's the breadth or the scope of who Deji's been. Is like you started off kind of in business, right? Like people may not know that. They know that they may not know that like your dad had a company, right? Like
Yeah.
you are part of, have been an integral part of. Uh, Started out in food from the hood in high school, working there at Crenshaw High.
Yeah.
Screw Crenshaw, Hamilton. But anyway, the Shaw Dogs or whatever you
See
guys say.
house. See house.
Oh my God, here we go. But that like that's been a foundation of yours. But I think people know, like, also if they like went to school with you, they know that like you got a BFA in like English, or you know what I mean. That like you've
Yeah.
gone different route and done things. You've written a book. You've authored a book. You've worked everywhere, right? Like
Oh yeah.
you eBay store.
Oh
You
man.
were a sports agent. You
Yeah.
were you worked at Technicolor.
Yeah.
Was it Salesforce?
Yeah. K Force.
K Force. That's what
Yeah,
it
K
was. K Force.
Force.
I don't know what that shit was. Yeah, K Force. And like here you are finishing up MBA at is it the it's a Marshall School of Business, I think it is,
Yeah, Marshall
at
School of
USC.
Business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So get an MBA, and you started your own brand of which you've done some stuff with, and you're moving on to do more things in entrepreneur. I guess what did you learn kind of, I guess, about all that stuff and doing a whole bunch of different shit, sales and everything. You worked at 24 Hour Fitness, like a trainer. But like, what about this now? You being an entrepreneur, what you're doing now feels authentic.
Um, man, everything. No, I think
I love it. I love it.
everything. It's funny. It's funny because I went and did all these different things. But of course, obviously in high school, I started off as an entrepreneur. Um,
Mhm.
I'll tell a quick story. I remember being, in the gym at the Shaw, and Al Fox came up to me. And he's like, Deji, you didn't get your letters? And I was like, what are you talking about? And for you guys that don't know, like, as a high school athlete, you're looking to be recruited, right? Who is looking to be recruited?
Mhm.
One of the universities may send you a letter, to your high school, basically saying that they're interested in talking to you, or they're watching you play or something like this, right?
Mhm.
And just indicating interest, and so getting a letter for a high school basketball player or whatever your sport is, it's a big deal. It's like, okay, what I'm doing is working, right?
I'm doing
Right.
something right. Somebody noticed it.
Exactly. Right.
Yeah.
And so I was like, yeah, you get your letters. And I'm like, what letters? Like, what are you talking about? And he's like, no, I was in Coach West's office and I saw some letters with, with your name on it. And I'm like, what? No. He's like, yeah. He's like, Syracuse, Washington. And I'm like, all
Yeah.
right, bro. Like, you kidding me? Like,
Right.
letters, mate. Why'd you grab
Hey, let me go
them?
get these letters, baby.
So I go to Coach West and he's like, and I like, hey, Coach West, any letters in there for me? And he's like, letters? And I'm like, yeah, letters, of colleges, like,
Uh,
he's like, yeah, some letters in there. And then I'm like, okay, like,
you know,
can I get them? I mean, I didn't say it like that, but
I know that's not how you approach Coach West.
a lot more respect than that. But
For sure.
but can I get him? He's like, oh, you don't need no letters. You're an entrepreneur. You don't need letters. And I was like, kind of, really confused. But it's funny. I was just, thinking about that. I'm like, man, you know what? I've always been an entrepreneur. Like I've always been an entrepreneur, and I, went out and Stevon has, named all these different jobs that I've had. And that was me trying to fit into society. That was me not necessarily like, I guess I don't think I really understood who I was. I didn't really know who, I didn't really know myself. Every job that I've had ended in some like, you know, weird situation where like it basically was another way for me to identify that I did not fit in, in these spaces. Like my ability to innovate, you know, creativity, the way that I operate. We just talked about this whole trust thing. Like,
Yeah.
Essentially the whole way that companies operate in America is, look, you're going to take what I give you, and then, and and it's not a trustworthy relationship, for the most part. I won't say every company, because there's some great companies out there. I'm not saying that, but for the most part, it's not a great deal. Right now we're talking about the minimum wage is a big topic right now. Just look at that. I need to say no more.
Yeah. Just pay attention to that, of what's going on there. Just understand the argument.
Yeah. So yeah, and then also on another level, my mom's dad, my grandfather, had a business. He had his own business, and my dad's mom in Nigeria had her own business. And I kind of I'm looking at that. I'm like, man, I'm not just an entrepreneur. I'm a legacy entrepreneur, like, generations, back.
Right.
And anyway, so to answer your question, it feels very authentic to not only have my own business, but to have created something from scratch. um, and to see it through, to the tune of, like, right now I'm doing beverage consulting for a spirits brand, and I'm helping them create their thing,
Yep.
from scratch. So it's something very, uh, natural to me.
Yeah. And I guess, like, how do you kind of juggle all of that with, because it's an aspect of you, right? Like, you're absolutely an entrepreneur. And it's funny, like, when you tell the story about the letters, because it's like, in your household, that,
Oh,
like, sports was not like I mean, you got to do a lot of sports, but like, wasn't nobody expected a scholar. Matter of fact, it's like, sports was a luxury you got to do if you
yes.
did the other things you were supposed to do. It is
Hey,
that.
he's not joking. No,
That was a
no,
luxury. That wasn't like guaranteed.
it's
Like,
not
oh
a
yeah, you got a
yeah.
game. Like,
Like,
he got a game if he did his homework and got these good grades. Like, that's what
yeah,
he had.
yeah.
Yeah, like,
His
but other than that,
grades ain't
yeah, you
right.
can
He
play
ain't
ball.
playing. Like, are you kidding me? That's not
Yeah,
happening. Like,
exactly. Like, oh, I got a game in the morning. I guess you got to wake up earlier on Saturday and cut this grass. I know that.
hey, real talk. Who else out there is cutting the whole lawn? Like, oh, we doing front and back this weekend?
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
5 in the morning, so I can make my 9 o'clock game. Like,
So I could go play 3 games.
yeah. Facts. I'm gonna be gone doing this, but that's only if you
Yes.
finish this stuff. Like, that ain't
Yeah.
that ain't
Oh man,
guaranteed.
brutal.
Ain't no
Hey,
days off. Go hard.
hey.
Go
Okay,
hard.
exactly. And I literally was like, that's what built this. Let's go
A hundred
on.
percent. 100%. 100%. But like, you also have the part of you that is a creative too. And I mean, I think, I would like to, if we label what you do now as, like, you're a creative, entrepreneur, like, creative entrepreneurship is a thing. I think that's what you do. But like, there's the side of you that's also a writer and does stuff. And I guess I'm wondering, like, because people look at business and be like, huh, that's like very different English. Like, how does one have that and then end up in an MBA program when you were also in a master's program you were about to get your MFA?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? I don't know how people look at it. I mean, I
I'm
mean,
not, I'm not concerned with how I'm going to look at this.
yeah, you know what? But honestly, um, I think I stopped trying to get people to understand who I am, and I
Yeah.
just put more energy in just being me.
Yep.
Um, like, I wrote an article. I don't even know what it was, man. I think it might have been my Mount Fuji uh, climb. and wrote about that, and I shared it with a bunch of my MBA friends, and they're like, man, one guy said, man, you write like literary, and I'm like, I am. Like
my point
I am.
exactly. My point exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah. So like, I guess, how do you not lose that? Because that's a part of you authentically too,
yeah,
as
I
much as
do.
business is.
Yeah, I do my best to journal and just keep writing, but obviously with Go Hard, I wear all the hats, and
Mhm.
other things I have going on is, obviously finishing the MBA is not easy. It's a lot
Yep.
of work, and it's not as easy as it once was to put pen to paper every day, but I do it. Just
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
every day,
I
but
mean,
I get to it.
and I think it happens more once you can kind of, I guess, when you get opportunities to step back. I guess the way I think about it is that you, and this might be the third arm of kind of what I wanted to cover today, but that, like, part of you is your writing comes from your experiences, right? Like, I remember, this is a long time ago, of when you wrote the piece, The County Line.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and like, I was like, dude, like, and this came from, like, we had just been talking about like all the stuff that was going on with you, and I was like, yo, you got to write this, and you just, like, it took, like, I got to get out of this first to be able to write it, Lou. Like, that's where you were. And I was like,
Yeah.
yo, this needs to be written, and like, you wrote it, and it got published and everything, but it's your experiences that kind of fuel your writing, the writing, or that creative side. And if people don't know you, which, if anybody knows you, they know you love to travel. Like, you are all about experiences. I mean, I was trying to do, like, in my head, a kind of recall of all the places you've been. I know I definitely did not accomplish that, but I was like, you not even, I was like, well, maybe it's not the places you've been, maybe it's the places you lived. And I was like, I don't know that I've accomplished that either. Like, so you lived in Costa Rica.
Yeah.
You, well, to start, California, that's where, like, you live. Like, right? Like,
Yeah.
that's where I met you, at least.
From Cali.
That's where I met you, right? You, Costa Rica, uh, San Diego. You lived in Vegas for a bit.
Yeah, that was fun. That was a good time. Yeah.
I feel like
But,
you lived in Nigeria,
mhm.
New Zealand.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Kiwi enjoying the Kiwi. I'm in New Zealand right now, baby. It's
Yeah, yeah,
Kiwi life.
I feel like you lived, and maybe it wasn't, maybe you just had, like, a long trip to New York.
Yeah. It was like, it was a summer. That was a summer. I mean,
That's like
4 or 5
living,
years
like,
ago.
you
I
lived
mean,
for a summer in New York.
true enough. Then I'll take it.
Yeah. And, like, places visited, like France, then the Belgium, and, like, who knows where else, right?
Yeah.
All of that shapes who you are. And, like, some of your, I mean, your book came out of, like, your second trip to Nigeria, right? Like,
Yeah.
My Africa, I came out of that journey, and that, kind of, I guess, growth and enlightenment you experience. And I think a lot of that creativity comes from when you, like I say, stepping away, or like you getting out, because the experiences, you can just be at one with your thoughts and don't have to be distracted by all the rigors of life, and it's really good. So I've kind of I've separated this into three different things. So what if all these travels, living all these places, what have you learned about yourself, like what it means to be a Black man?
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Throw that
yeah,
one
yeah.
at okay.
We're
Okay.
going in there. Yeah.
You
Do you
gonna
want me to
cross me
label
up.
all three of them
You
first,
put
and
the
then you
cross
decide which
and
one?
the spin. You put the cross and the spin move.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's my
Okay.
go-to. That's my go-to. That's my go-to. After that, I'm gonna get in my trot. I could start somewhere else. We're gonna end up there. I could start somewhere else.
Yeah.
Let's start more globally. What have you learned about America? And let's not. This could easily be like a 2-hour bash session of America. I want to do a different spin that'll be much harder. What have you learned about what America does right?
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah. Well, first let me get this one off.
Okay, there you go.
I do a lot of like listening to like thought leaders and things like this. And anyway, there's this a little quip on Big Think. You should check it out. It's from Henry Rollins, and he talks about his experience kind of coming up, in America. And he says, he's like, what I've learned, because he came from like working a minimum wage job, like that was like that was the highest he could aspire to. Like where he was from, like that's what he thought. It's like, oh, if I can get a job, I can become manager, like at the place. And and of course, he went on to be, a successful entertainer, led, his favorite rock group. He actually ended up being a singer, and he was on MTV when we were coming up quite a bit. But anyway, but he says that he's like, what I've learned about the America, he's like, it's not a country, it's a game that you survive or you die. And he's like, that's what keeps me, successful and moving forward, is that every day I wake up and I'm thinking about, how do I survive here? And that was like, for me, it was profound, because it's somebody that I've been seeing on TV since I was like 13, 14 years old. And this guy's talking about like, I'm trying to survive every day, and I'm like, damn, like, if this
you
dude
surviving like a mother,
yeah, I'm like, bro,
but like Eddie Murphy Raw, like the ends are meeting like a mother.
like a mother. Exactly, dude. So, but you got to think about the mentality, right? Like, never rest on your laurels, so to speak. I'm not saying don't enjoy the fruits of your labor, but never rest on your laurels. So, as far as what America does right.
Ooh, I knew that was gonna be tough. That's why I framed it that way. Yeah. I wasn't gonna make this easy for you. You got the knowledge in there. I'm gonna bring it out.
Man, America. You know what?
And maybe the way to phrase that, or have you think about it, is that there's a reason why people want to come here.
Oh yeah, that's exactly what that's where I was going.
There you go. Yep.
Does a bang up job with marketing. Like they market man. They're like America's Apple. Like,
oh yeah.
America's Apple with the Ford engine.
American is apple pie and shit. That's product. Hell yeah.
Yeah, America's Apple with the Ford engine. And I'm not talking about a Mustang. I'm talking about it's like, yeah. So out of all my travels, let's say, people want to come to America, right? Like that's a big thing. And people go, oh, you're from America. I'm like, yeah, I'm from California. Oh, so you live in New York. I'm like, I just said I'm from California. All right. Cool. Okay. Man, I can't wait to go there. And let's say it's in Nigeria, and I'm looking at their lifestyle, and I'm like, man, you know what? Like you live a better life here, like, and like, what? No. And then
what do you mean when you say that?
Well, what I'm saying is that, like, you have access to food. You can hustle. There's a way to make money. Like I mean, if you can believe it, and not you, but to the audience,
to the audience members, if you can believe this.
There was a time, maybe 5 years ago, like you see where I'm at right now, but maybe 5 years ago, where like I didn't know how I was going to feed myself. Like I didn't, like I did not know. And with all the accomplishments and the things that I've done in my life, that was questionable. And that kind of like, if you check out that Standing in the County Line article, you'll kind of maybe you won't understand it, but you'll get an idea of what I was going through. But I say that to say, in a third world country, or like a country that's like emerging, the people that were talking to me, like they had a job or they had some kind of hustle, right? And which means that they were essentially like kind of gainfully employed, right? And they had some lifestyle. What I was arguing is that that person's gonna come to America, and you're gonna have to work 2 jobs to like try to live the same lifestyle that you're living, in this beautiful place, like like where food is super cheap, and like when you hustle, that means something. Like if you're in America and you're a working class person, like you better have, 2 roommates. And
Yeah, there's
God,
that
God,
minimum wage problem.
God forbid you live in California and you need a car. Like that, how much of these necessities are eating into the little bit of money that you make. Like
Yep.
you're gonna live a worse lifestyle here. Yeah, you might be in America and people may praise you back where you came from. And maybe that's worth it to some people to be, big man doing this or that. I'm not saying absolutely don't come here, because obviously my father came here.
Exactly. Key point. I was just about to say, I was like, shit.
And with $200 in his pocket, and he grinded his way up. But I'm just saying, maybe it would help to have somebody kind of sober you up and let you know, look, when you come here, it ain't going to be easy to get work.
Mhm.
One, and it may be a bit harder traversing things than you might think.
America does a good job of marketing marketing a specific thing, uh, selling the dream, or I guess the opportunity. And the reason I say it that way is because you said, like, people want to come here, and you're like, say you're in Nigeria. And I just heard, like, on, I forgot what I was listening to. Either it was a podcast or I was reading a book, but somebody made mention of, like, wealthy West Africans, right? And they were saying, like, if you look at, like, wealthy, like, say, West Africa, or, they are looking to get their kids to the UK. And it was like, in America, we don't think that, but they're like, yeah, no, like that's kind of where they're sending their kids. Like they're sending their kids to school in the UK or go there. Like they aren't sending them to America. And you've traveled to all these places.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is? Why would the UK, like if I have wealth or whatever, why would I want to send my kid to UK as opposed to America if America is great?
Yeah. One thing that was cool, this last time I was in Nigeria, I had a group of friends, and uh, either they went to school in the UK, or they went to school in France. And
That's
these are
not
all like
USA.
these are all like
Neither of
well-to-do.
those places are USA.
Right. These are all like well-to-do people. Like, I mean, these dudes had some sick spots like in Victoria
They got
Island.
the
Like these are
compound
like,
over there in Nigeria. You know what I mean?
oh yeah, these are like,
Yeah.
these dudes were wealthy. um, and but
There's a lot
I
of money in Africa. Like that's the thing, right? Like
oh
I mean,
yeah,
people might not know that. I mean, you do because you business and just being from Nigeria, like knowing the shit. But I mean, like that's why China's big over there. Like they're doing, because
yeah,
emerging markets.
yeah, exactly. I mean, there's a ton of resources there. One of
Mhm.
the first, well, maybe not. Let me not say that. But one thing that, if you look into it, Nigeria has every resource, like every major resource that's essentially traded,
Mhm.
between countries. Like they can do everything. They don't need to import anything. Like any essentials, they have everything to produce the power that they would need. Everything. So
Mhm.
it, of course there's going to be big entities like China, Korea, coming in trying to extract resources, just like
Mhm.
the oil companies went in and did what they did there. um,
Yep.
those things are going to happen. um, I think that the reason why they're sending their kids to go to school in these places is to me. Okay, so to me, what's more important than education? I think the network is network. Yeah, your network.
Mhm.
Um, because I mean, if you really think about it, like wealthy people here in the U.S., like they're not sending their kids to school like because like, oh, they need to like learn
No,
these,
yeah,
like
no, yeah.
like they're not. They're sending them there for experience and network. They're going to meet other people that are in the same socioeconomic
Yep.
demographic as them, create relationships, and then they're going to go out, and then Uncle Stevon works at this hedge fund, so to speak, and he's going to get him a
Mhm.
gig. It's not about you know
Yep.
And then they're going to teach them what they need to know when they're in that spot. It's not about education. And this West African thing where they're sending their kids to UK is about the same thing. Because if you think about it, Nigeria, British colony.
Mm-hmm.
You start thinking about like where are these countries
colonialism?
Where are these countries connected to? The people who have money are doing business back and forth between some place in Africa and some place in the UK, some place in Europe. That's where they're doing business, like not necessarily from Africa to US. And so to me, that's why they're sending their kids there, is because this is the connection between Africa and Europe, or Africa and the UK, is a more effective relationship than Africa to the US.
For sure. That makes sense then, that like there's more history there, but then also more history might mean then, like you said, the more of the opportunity if I'm already wealthy in these places, as opposed to trying to establish that, like you said, that grind in America, they'd be starting over. And it's like, I come from wealth, what is start over? I don't start over anything.
Like when I was a recruiter, I had a couple of Nigerian dudes come in, and one guy, like, he used to work for Chevron. He was like one of an engineer there, and anyway, had all this experience. And I mean, funny enough, I was just started out in recruiting, and I was looking at this dude's resume, like, why are you here, bro? Like this is not the place for you. You need to have like a serious like search firm, like looking for gigs for you.
Right.
Stuff we're gonna get for you ain't gonna be exactly. Stuff we're gonna get for you ain't gonna be, it's like, but that's kind of like it's kind of like what we're talking about before. Is like, I may be like accomplished and have all these skills, but do people really see me? Like, is my greatness recognized here?
Got you. Damn, that hits home. I told you we were going to end back up at that initial question. This is a perfect segue to that. Then what is it that you learned about being maybe a Black man, having kind of been so world traveled and lived in multiple places, multiple countries?
Yeah. Man. So it's an interesting question, because I'm kind of going through something right now that
so backstory, this is why I asked that, is because like I think before you left, I think it's safe to say we shared a common belief that Black is kind of Black around the world, right? Like, I mean, like say for like going to like maybe like Africa or Nigeria or something like that, where it's different. There's different stuff, like,
right.
But Black is Black. Like, how they see us here is not too different how we think they see us elsewhere.
Yeah.
But you're in a place where I don't know if that's true anymore.
Yeah. So, man, that's just really, really, a really good question. So
I got another question.
Well, so I'm going to try to talk about this, but not say names and stuff like this. But okay, so where I am, I'm in New Zealand, and just traditionally, there isn't really like this racist, accepted ideal, right?
They don't have that. That's so crazy.
Yeah. I mean, but not to say, well, this is what I'm trying to get at, is that like, yes, there isn't racism here. Like, like we know it, like
America's a systemic way.
Yes. Like America's systemic, institutional, like
it's ingrained. It's flowing through the veins of this country.
Through the veins. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, just for some perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So the Maori are the native people to this land, right? And they own land here, like certain tribes own land, and then companies have to come in and actually like lease the land from them, right?
In their own country, they own their land. Go figure.
Right, man, dude, that's so funny. If Melissa heard you say that, because I literally do that for every every like simple
I'm sorry.
thing that should be happening back home. I go, oh, well, go figure. What that would happen? Go figure.
That's what they did. Like they were there first, and they have to ask for. Wow,
Wow,
wow. Okay,
that's something, dude.
yes.
So
Continue. My apologies, sir.
no. So man, so in the elementary schools, they actually teach the kids Maori, right? Like, so see, so they actually teach it in schools, the language. So this is a very powerful note when you're talking about culture, right?
Nobody here has learned Cherokee.
Right? No one.
Yeah.
I mean, think about how powerful language is, and you think about like slavery in the U.S. It's, the first thing they take away is like they separate you,
Yep.
no speaking, these foreign tongues, right?
Mm-hmm.
So completely stripped away.
In your own way. Okay, my bad. I'm stopping.
Yeah.
Continue. My bad.
And so I'm just saying that's that thing, which could be something small, but is something huge, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is accepted. That speaks to acceptance, right? Which we don't have that at home to the tune of. I was talking to another brother about he was telling me that, oh, my girlfriend's from Senegal, and I was like, oh cool, you want to go back? And he's like, oh no, I'm not one of those like go back to Africa type black people. I'm good here. I'm American and this and that. I'm like, you know, yeah, but I can't fault the brother because he's been told his whole life, every message has been against that, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So I won't get into any more of that, but we can talk
we're gonna
about
do a whole history lesson and indoctrination. We don't have time for that. Yeah.
Yeah. But so I say that to say there's acceptance here, right? And then recently they just had a situation where there's a little bit of a debate in the parliament. So if you're familiar with the way Parliament's set up, they have multiple parties. They don't have like we have like two parties. They'll have like three or four parties, right? And there's actually a Maori party, like where there's always going to be a Maori representative in Parliament. Like so that's already another thing. Your opinion matters, right? Right.
There used to be a Black Panther.
Hey, well,
I'm trying to recall what happened to them.
I'm not sure. I have to Google it and see what happened.
Oh God.
See, man.
My bad. I'm back.
It's hey, man. I'm telling you, it's crazy looking at. It's crazy looking at America from this. Every day.
So the way the country's set up is one in which they have incorporated into the indigenous folks.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely, and they're very proud of it too. To the tune that okay, so they have a thing called moko where they do like the tattoo like right here, and I think women actually do it. I think certain women do it, and so one of the like the lead Maori members, because I think there's like two leads all the time, and so one of them's a woman, and she has the moko, and she just got elected, and somebody started this whole thing about are we gonna have this woman with a tattoo on her face, representing us, and it was like this huge thing. Not just that she said it, not just that there was this thing out there, but like this can't represent New Zealand, like that we have this somebody voicing these kind of opinions, like
the backlash is on the person making the statements.
Oh yeah.
So then I said it wrong. It's not that they've incorporated the indigenous folk into the system. The system has allowed outsiders to be incorporated into it.
Oh, there you go.
Exactly.
There you go.
It's,
So
yep.
So it's levels. Levels. So there's that. But this situation that I'm in right now, is that I'm doing business with some people here in New Zealand, but also connected to some people back home.
Mm-hmm.
And I presented an opportunity, um, and to the New Zealand side,
Mm-hmm.
and it, you know, it got around to the U.S. side. Now the U.S. side has come in and offered a negative opinion of the opportunity that I brought in because of who it's attached to.
Oh, for sure.
Um,
That's how America does shit.
and it has to do with some race issues, and
Mm-hmm.
and I kind of, when I heard of it, because I didn't get it from the American side, I got it from the New Zealand side, and I was like, oh no,
Sure.
I see you talk to such and such, let me tell
Yeah.
you what what it really is. Yeah, man, so it's crazy, but I'll say that, of course, it's not really like racism here like that, but I won't say that, because you know there there's racism, there's being racist, and there's also being not really knowing, like, like what to be
Mm-hmm.
sensitive about, you know and
Gotcha.
that's a thing too. So
Yeah.
there's a bit of that as well.
Just like
I,
ignorance, right? Like not
yeah,
not intentionally being malicious, just I didn't even know that that was a thing that
yeah,
I shouldn't do or should do, Yeah.
yeah. So there's
Right.
a bit of that, but it speaks to the naivete of
Yeah.
Kiwis, man. It's a different world over here. That's
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then, yeah, black is not all the same everywhere. And I guess if I take anything away, then it's more of it's up to us to define what that means and not be so swayed by like what the rest of the world or Earth does in response to how they see us.
Yeah, I think that's funny because I think there's a parallel to like what I'm saying about myself and my journey, to
Hmm.
being the man that I am today. Is that that's really what it was. It's like, look, I can't be tied into like how these people are perceiving me. I just need to be me, and
Yep.
you know and you deal with it, like, that, like you said it a ton of times, that sounds like a personal problem, like, like
Right.
that. Like if you got a,
Yeah.
like or you've also said this, if you got a problem with Deji, you probably have a problem with yourself. and
Seriously.
and
This dude is like the most loyal person and like understanding and accepting person I know in life for sure.
yeah, man, so
Yeah.
I just really had to like dial in on that and accept that, like really accept
Right.
it, and see it in myself, man, and then you know the world around you kind of adapts.
I like it. I like it. So last question. Save the best for the excellent. So the last question is kind of like a culminating question in that 41,
Mm,
lots of experiences. That's not anything that we don't know. And we talked about kind of county line, and you even mentioned, kind of alluded to, I guess, how there have been lots of unpleasantness kind of along the journey. It hasn't been like a straight positive trajectory. And usually it's like, you know, we learn from that stuff and we're like, oh, now that I know that, I do these things different. And so I guess kind of take a different spin, like how I did with America, and like let's not, bash, and we can do that all day. That's easy. Everybody can
yeah,
do that.
yeah.
Can we know it's good? What about the stuff that's unpleasant that happened to you? Would you not change?
I would change none of it. I
Oh
mean,
shit! Oh shit! He said all that time. Give it to him.
yeah.
Go for it.
I mean, everything I'm not maybe everything I am. It's
Mhm.
like all those. I call this my Slumdog Millionaire moment. You know, it's
Hell yeah!
and
Let
I
them know the reference. Like yeah, like
you know
you're not the embodiment of that movie.
it's just like, dude, I'm in my zone right now. It's like
Yeah.
all like it's man, it's so funny that you started talking about the relationship, because
Hmm.
it's the same thing. I feel like, there's that parallel there where like when I met my wife,
Hmm.
and we started dating, and I realized where it was going and everything. I looked back and I was like, oh, all that, I went through all that for this. Like, like And, and the same thing with, my life, my business life, my professional life, whatever, I went through all those things for this, like where I'm like right now, like, yes, it makes sense. Like, I get it. I see clearly. This is why. Yeah, man. Yeah, because along the way, it's just like, I mean, like you said, you saw me going through, what I was talking about and staying in the county line, and there was
And like
always some
much
like,
more in life in general, but that's just like one instance. Yeah.
yeah, so many things, and but like always like some just random like, movie worthy, like shit.
Dude, like when you said random, first thing popped into my mind was like Atlanta.
Oh, see, exactly. See, there's so many of these situations. Like, just like, wait, what happened? Like,
like what? Like what? Like that was bananas, bro. Like, okay, we won't go there. My bad.
Yeah, who does that happen to? Like, just, I mean, so many. Not 1, 2, 3. Just, I mean, one after the, like, just crazy stuff. But then, hey, right? Yeah. Yo, it's all good. It's all for a reason. Embrace the journey. That's why I try to tell kids. I'm old. I'm 41 now, so 20 something. You're a kid to me. So I try to tell the kids. Hey,
I tell 20-year-old AG.
It's like, man, look, embrace the journey. Try things out. Like, oh, you want to do that? Do it. What are you debating for? Do it. Like, like, go. Like, it's not about, oh man, that's a good one too. It's not about jumping on the bike and like making it to your destination like clean and clear. It's about, how did you get over the bump in the road? How did you climb that hill like that? That's what it's about. It's the journey. I had a family friend tell me like their daughter was graduating from high school, and they were like, what can you tell me, I know you have a lot of experience, you've been through a lot of ups and downs, so maybe you can give me some advice, so so such and such doesn't have
the reason I'm smiling is because, like, exactly, their intent is to try to find out what so that they can avoid the ups and downs, like the downs,
exactly.
Right? Yeah, they came to the wrong person. If that's what they're looking for.
I'm not gonna tell you, like, because that's not how it works, dude. That's not how it works. Like, okay, I went to school, I was pre-med, starting off at UCI, and let's say I'll say 90% of the people who went all the way through and became doctors, they hate it. They hate their lives. Like, they are trying to figure out, how can I work less? How can I do this less and keep making the same amount of money that I'm making? Like, or what can I go and do to make this money? Because they never got into it to be a doctor. They just want to check. Like, like it's like, so that's why I say try stuff. Like, look, if it doesn't work, you're not locked into something that you don't want to do, 20 years from now. Like, go do stuff.
So. It's interesting, like you say that, because like me knowing you and how you kind of approach things, like that's been your model for you before you knew it was your model for you. Like, that's how you operated. And then, like, I know when you, because you are a person that needs to have agency over your life and this trajectory, that even when you had kind of those jobs that fit the mold, you were already thinking like about your exit strategy.
Yes. Like, get out of this.
Yeah.
Knock this out for 3 years, and then I'll be boom. Like, that's what
like nobody does that. Like, nobody like really gets a job and is like, oh yeah, like, probably in 2 years I'm gonna be gone from here. It's like, 2 years they can see themselves in a promotion or another position, but nobody's like, yeah, I'm not gonna be doing this at all. Like,
man, I started working at one of these places, and I remember somebody was like, man, if you you put in like 20 years here, man, I could see you being CEO. And in the back of my mind, I was like,
they didn't see you.
Right. in the back of my mind, I was like, man, if I'm here for 20 years, that's a failure. Like, like that is a failure. Like, what do you mean? Like, like
Here 20 years, that means I got stuck and I fucked all the way
yeah,
up.
like who did I get pregnant? Like Jesus, like you know, like what?
Like 3 kids, and like you
20
gotta do
years?
this.
Like, no
Like the
way.
only reason you make that sacrifice is like outside of you, right? Like
Yeah,
you don't do that for you, like, oh, I'm making this money. You can care less about that shit. Like that's not
yeah,
what you're
that's not
driven
why
by.
I'm here.
You were like, the only reason you stay there 20 years is like, oh, this other person's life depends on me. I
Yeah,
cannot do that to them. Like
yeah, man.
that's it.
I can't. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's not how you're built. Yeah, yeah, 100%. Nah, man.
Um,
Thanks for this. This was fun. Anything else you think we didn't cover that is like super important now, kind of based on just where you are in life and shit?
no, man, I think we took some deep dives. Yeah, I mean, I'm still on the path. I'm by no means at a destination. Um, I'm still on the path. It's cool to be able to have this conversation
Yeah,
at this junction, so to speak. But yeah, this was fun, man. It's good.
yeah. I like it, man. Thanks for letting me do it. Like I said, I felt like I had a vision of kind of what I wanted to cover and like give people an opportunity to understand you because like you said, the process is really big for you. Slumdog Millionaire, like you talk about that all the time. Like we talk about that all the time. But again, the process is everything that made you. So like asking that last question is change nothing because that's why I am who I am, and you like lean into that heavily. So yeah, like I think letting people understand that about like they'll see that you've gotten to this good place, kind of like the person who's like, hey, talk to my daughter about what not to do, and you're like, fucking do everything. What are you talking about?
Yeah,
Everything not to do all of
yeah,
it, do
man.
all of it, and do it to the fullest. Like go hard in that shit and see what
Yeah.
happens. Yeah,
That's the only way you're gonna get the lesson, the true meat of it. There's no point like okay, so people like to do this for their children, and I get it. Like you love your
Mhm.
kids, and you don't want to see them struggle. I've heard that plenty of times. Um, but like, what's the point of like some of these people that like try to control their kids' lives, right? You wanted your kid to be this or be that, right? So let's say you curated their whole life, and they're 25, 27 years old, whatever it is. You've like curated every single thing. What happens when they reach their first adversity in life? Or what happens when you die? Like
Mm,
they won't be able to handle
mm.
any adversity in their life. Like nothing.
That is really profound because like I think about just kind of how we grew up and shit, right? And like pops, and it's like, yo, like by all means, pops help you. He
Yeah.
make like direction, like you said, he has a vision for you. What he want, going to support you to a degree. Like
Yeah,
he ain't
yeah.
gonna do it for you. Like
No,
he's not gonna make it
no.
easy. Like that's
It's not gonna be
so
easy.
so like when you talk about that, it's like, damn, like it is profound. Like it's the whole Slumdog Millionaire thing. Like, did he want you to be absolutely wildly successful and do great things in life? 100%. Was he going to support you in doing that and help you get there? For sure. Was he going to make that process easy? Fuck no.
Nope.
Absolutely not. Not one bit. Not one bit was he going to make that easy. Like, I mean, just think about your journey. Like, school, college was mandatory, right? Like that, there was
Yeah,
no,
that
you aren't
was
going to
yeah.
go to college. Also, he wasn't like, I'm just about to pay the bill for it. Like, that's,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Real
yeah,
talk.
I'm not going to let you, I'll pay for some stuff. I ain't gonna pay for everything. Like,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
and it's not that he couldn't. Like, he absolutely could have. Wasn't
Absolutely
gonna
could have.
happen, right?
Yeah.
Right. And that's the
No.
thing. And I think you said like the thing that was so profound for me was like, rest in peace to pops. You know what I mean? But
Mhm.
it was one thing you said like, and what happens when that person dies? When pops passed, you fucking shot up. Like no loss. Like you stepped right in and boom, immediately. And I don't think that happens if, like you said, that journey, all the shit you've been through up to that point, there's no
Yeah.
smooth transition there.
Yeah, yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's
It could
you're
have been easier.
definitely
It could have been easier for you.
it was not. Yeah. But to that tune again about people not seeing is, I've had,
Yeah.
plenty of times, people, oh well,
Mm-hmm.
DG got his parents to fall back. It's like, no, I don't. Like it might look like that.
I'm sitting here and I'm saying I hear that statement. You might see that and you could think that's not no. And again, not to say that they won't support. Like, are they gonna let you die? No. They're not gonna make it easy though. They are not going to make it easy. That was never gonna happen.
You guys see the life I'm living now and everything. I slept in my car multiple times. Like, I'm not talking about 3 nights. I'm talking about multiple times, like years apart in my life.
The big rig.
Big rig. Exactly. like different periods in my life. It's just like
again, we're gonna let you die, but also we're gonna get you out of everything. Man. It made you who you are.
Exactly.
I like it. Fun times, man. Thanks for letting me do this.
Absolutely, bro, man. This is good, man. Thanks for doing it. Maybe we'll do it again. This is good.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, for sure, man. All right, guys. Well, thanks for tuning in. Check out Stevon. Of course, man, this dude. I don't want to get on doing this again. This one's about me. Okay, so I'll back up. I'll back up. But thank you.
Yeah,
man.
Let the people know where they can find you, goddamn.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah, check out gohardenergy.com. And also, as always, we know the work never stops. Neither should you. Workneverstops.co. Until next time, I'm DG Wessy. It's my man, Stevon Lewis. Catch you on the next one.
Yes, sir.